Project Options. The Project Options tab is in part similar to User Options, and it allows overwriting some global options on a per project basis. This includes authentication and proxies. We can also configure network timeouts here, custom hostname resolution, and how out-of-scope requests are handled. In the HTTP tab, we can configure how Burp handles HTTP redirects. In the TLS tab, we can override the equivalent user option settings, and we can find an additional list of TLS server certificates received by Burp. The Session subtab is a very powerful tool. We can define rules to make Burp execute specific actions when making HTTP requests. You can restrict them to a defined scope, and Burp applies in sequence each rule in scope for a particular request. We can add a new rule by clicking the Add button. In the Rule Actions section, click Add to see what Burp offers us. We can set a cookie, run a macro, or even invoke a Burp extension. We'll choose Run a Macro. In the new window, click the Add button to create a new macro. We can choose to run an existing recorded request from the Proxy HTTP History tab. We have the same views of the request and response as everywhere. You can just choose the request to log in. Next, a new window appears, the macro editor. We can choose a name for this request, add or remove macro items, or even test it. When done, just click the OK button. Back to the Session Handling Action Editor, we see a few more options for our rules. We can just use the defaults for now and click OK. If we click OK in the Session Handling Rule Editor, we'll get a warning that the current rule isn't in scope for any URLs. This just means it won't be triggered. Click No and move to the second tab called Scope. In the first section, we can set to what tools will Burp apply the rule. In the URL scope, we can choose Use Suite Scope to use our current defined scope from the Target tab, and click OK again. You can try it out by going to the Repeater tab, for example. Go to our previous request and click Send. Note the response this time. We have the location header redirecting us to the /login URL, proving our rule worked. Great! Let's move on.